my Lord. I'm from Faculty Arts, Computing and Creative Industry. Today, I would like to explain about the snake game using by Python and Pygame.
Hi guys, my name is Jonas. I'm from Faculty of Arts, Computing and Creative Industry. Today, I would like to talk more and explain more on coding of multiplayer in Pygame for our project, which is Snake Game 1.
Hello, my name is Rayu Chen. I am from Faculty Art, Computing and Creative Industry. Today, I would like to explain more about the coding of single player in Pygame from our project, which is Snake Game 1.
Here, I will explain some introductions of my Snake Game 1. The Snake Game 1 is built by Python and Pygame. The snake is made with the square. Then, the snake must eat the square because that square is the food for snakes. After eat the square, the snake will become longer. After that, to start the code, we make our life a bit easier. I already set out the main structure for our game. In our games, we are going to be using two main classes, is class snake and class cube. In our game, I creating the game loop. It's because in all games we have a loop called a main loop or game loop. This loop will continuously run until the game is exit. It is mainly responsible for checking for events and calling functions and methods based on those events. To starting the snake class, our snake object is going to contain a list of cubes which will represent the snake body. We are going to store the cubes in a list called body, which will be a class variable. We will also have a class variable called turns. To start our snake class, we will code the Pygame init method and add the class variable. In snake game, we use move method. In this case, we continue coding the snake class by completing the move method. This method will first check for any events. After that, the most complicated part of our game is turning the snake. At here, we need to remember where we turn our snake and with direction so that when the cube after the head reach that spot, we can turn them as well. This is why whenever we turn, we add the position of our head to a turn dictionary where the value is the direction we turn. This way, when the other cube reach its position, we know which way to turn them. To start the cube class, we use coding the move and Pygame init methods. After that, in cube class, we draw our cube using coding draw method. At here, we also add pygame.draw.raise. By multiplying the row and color value of our cube by the width and height of its cube, we can determine where to draw it. In our game, we can move our snake around the screen. Then we need something for it to eat our collect. So we adding the cube. Every time we collide with one of these objects, we will add a new cube to the end of our snake. We are going to call these items a snake. This first step is to generate a position for our snake. We do this with random snake function in our snake game coding. After that, In this part, I also add the position equal to item.body. This coding will get all the position of cube in our snake, and then I use the tool. With this can keep generating random position until we get a valid one. Moreover, in our game, we have a function for creating a random snake. Then we add the following line into the main function before the while loop. To update the screen, it is usually good practice to do all of our drawing of objects from within one function or method. We will be using the redraw window function to update the display. We call this function also a frame from our game loop. In this coding, I add global role white snake. Then I add the background color with surface.fill coding. And here I add orange color. The tuple of orange is 255, 165, and then 0. To ending games, we lose the game when our snake object collides with itself. To take this, we already add the following line to our main function inside the game loop. And then the last I add the pygame.display.update coding.
First of all, we start the game by using argument parser, which is the argument to be used when we combine codings for multiplayer gaming. And then we combine the codings that use argument parser and run the game command by using command prompt. Then all of the argument command prompt is printed by using string argument code, which is already put in the main game loop in pygame init. And then we use center video coding to center the game window screen at its own value, which is set in the game's main loop. Next, the Raspberry mode is set up using argument Raspberry code that is imported from RPI, which is imported from GPIO in pygame. This RPI.GPIO handles interfacing with the pins. Now, the main function of the pins is to use right and left to set its value for both player 1 and player 2 by using GPIO coding method. This method is quite handling for the main function and it delays buttons. For example, this coding function is used for button delay, especially for player 1 and player 2. This helps with the sleep function in its time module, which is by using clock time at pygame. Furthermore, we set up the direction for player 1 and player 2 to move their snake animation in the game. For example, we use up, right, down and left buttons and set up its own value at x-axis and y-axis in the game. For example, both player 1 and player 2 in the snake animation movement direction moves up, right and down and left. Its value is on x-axis and y-axis. Next, we use game over function in the game to represent game over, which is by default is end of the game. The game coding functions to bring game over message and defines game over in the game. For example, game over message shows when there is a winner or no winner, or else when one player's snake length is more than the opponent. This happens when the main player eats more objects than the opponent player. This happens for both player 1 and player 2 and when the snake is at same length. On screen is displayed message of player who wins the game or when the game is over. Now we have moved to the main function of the multiplayer game. The code function is of the created snake animation and food that appears on the screen. Thus, the reason a class is created is if you never call on the player class, it never runs, and there is no player. And that is why a class is built for the main reason to create multiplayer gaming. The coding of the class is to define each of the player's movement and direction of the snake animation, which is up, right, down and left. The rest is to create the player 1 and player 2, and the tile it stands on its own particular x-axis and y-axis. The main loop is a game function which stands on Pygame init. The game functions to the coding method of Raspberry mode. This happens when we use rpi.gpio input. This runs the game and the clock runs ticks. This block of code handles interfacing with the pins, which I have explained earlier to be using right and left pins. Right and left pins is for false or true movement for both player 1 and player 2. This input is run by using GPIO coding method. And then we set up our own window surface filled with our background color choice. The next code used is to move the snake tail. The direction of player 1 and player 2 is set at its own value at x-axis and y-axis. The same value goes to the snake head animation. Thus, the snake tail follows the snake head animation in the game. The next code function is to check game over through edges, which means the main screen function and the edge of the screen. This happens when one of the players hits the edge of the screen and then game is over. The winner will be the opponent player or the other player. If both players happens to hit the edge of the game screen, then it is a draw. There will be no winner. The game is over. And the value for the winner is set. While there is also other options, whereas when we use game over when it happens to edge of the screen. The code function for the next is to check game over touch. When one of the players hit the other player, which would be the snake animation in the game, then it will be a game over. The winner would be the opponent player. But if both players hit each other in the snake animation, or when a player hits another player animation, then it is a draw. There will be no winner as possible and the game will be over. The value for the winner will be set in the game and the high score will be determined. Sometimes we think that in our game there wouldn't be a bug or wouldn't be a glitch that crashes the game. But for safety purposes, we should use if debug mode in the game. We use debug coding. For example, when game is in debug mode, it supports settings, which means conditional breakpoints and single stepping at the source line level. And there will be inspections for stake frames, source code listing and evaluation of Python code. This happens overall in the context of any stack frame or also in the function Pygame init. This supports post-mortem debugging and can be also called under program control. Thank you.
The snake is met with the square. The snake must hit the square to get the higher score. The higher the score, the higher the difficulty of the gameplay. The snake will become longer after it the square and must prevent by hitting body and tail. It will totally increase the difficulty of gameplay when the snake becomes longer because the snake moves very fast in the game. Firstly, in the coding, I import Pygame system random math and set up Pygame display caption as stepget. Then, as you can see, I set the speed of snake, snake size, apple size, and screen text and white. I comment as global constant definition. Then Pygame display set mode to display the width and the height of the window. And I set the type of font, color and text size in my game. As you can see, I use impact font in my game and different size and color for screen, number, score message and game over score. Next, I set the game icon, which the coding is icon equal to Pygame image load and Pygame display set icon to display the icon in my game. Then I set the background in my game, which is black color background to let the game more interesting to play. As you can see, Pygame image load is is to import the background image. Pygame transform scale function is to let the background fit in the window. After that, I set the game logic for check collision and check limit. Then, Apple class I set the object which the foot of the snake is in medium green color. The coding is right at self color equal to pygame color dot color medium color. And for define row in Apple class, its object will automatically come out in new position when the snake eats the object, which in the coding the position of object is right at random, so the object can appear at any position after the snake eats the object, which is the apple. For the snake class, I set the class of the snake and set the movement of the snake. As you can see in the coding, I set the snake can move up, down, left and right with the same speed. Furthermore, I also add new piece to the end of snake. For example, when the snake eats the apple in every direction, snake will become longer because the apple let the snake can add new piece square to the end body of the snake. Not to forget, I also define get red, get X, get Y to define the snake and control the direction of the snake. I set the head of the snake is green color and the body of the snake is yellow color. The purpose I set up the color is to let the player can imagine the snake in this game. Then I load all the music in one command which includes the background music for this game, sound effect in this game, and when the snake eats the apple, Pygame mixer music set the volume is to set the volume in the game and mixer music play to play the music in all of the background and sound effects. And I set some keyboard keys to let the snake move in different directions, which is up, down, left, and right. As you can see in the coding, I use W, S, D, A keys to control the snake. For example, you can see in the coding, if even key equal to Pygame, key up for even key or W. So if you press W keys, the snake will move to the up. And key Y and N is to decide whether you want to quit the game or not. Key Y is no, key N is yes. Then define end game represent game over in this game. The message of play again will automatically pop out as you want to continue to play this game or not, which is key Y for yes and key N for no, and quit the game. Game over music also will be logged out when you end this game, as the coding is right as game/over.sound play and Pygame display flip and update to update the coding into the game. Not only that, I also define draw game time to put the time in this game, which let the player know how many scores they achieve in the time they set. The word time is set as golden red color and the time is set as red color. Screen bleed is to set the position and size of the time in the window, as I put screen bleed game /time 30 and 10. And screen bleed game time number is 105 and 14. Then I also define draw to put the score inside the game, which let the player know how much the score they get in one match of game. Each object we put in 5 marks, as the more the snake is, the higher the mark. The score number is in red color and message size of the score is put as -30 and 10. And for the screen number is in the screen white 45, white and 46. Lastly, I set the input keys press position check for the snake apple and position update to update the movement of the snake. For run the main game loop, I put Pygame display flip and update all the game loop in the game. to let the game can be run and play. That's all for us.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
That's all for us.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
I'm from Faculty Art, Computing and Industrial Creative Industry. That, as you can see, I
The next.
what the? Adoy.
Ana. When the snake eat the cube will Ana. Okay, when the snake eat the snake will be longer, and then the cube is automatically.
Where? The object. Not kill.
Oh my God.